Picture this, one man standing in the heart of Africa, surrounded not by tanks or treaties, but by gold, literal, shimmering power. Now imagine that same man looking the West dead in the eye and saying, "You've priced our minerals, our votes, even our dignity, but not anymore." That man is Ibrahim Traoré, the military president of Burkina Faso. And the move he just pulled, it didn't just shake Wall Street. It cracked open the global gold game, and in doing so, shattered Donald Trump's golden fantasy that America could quietly corner Africa's mineral wealth under the guise of economic partnership. What happened wasn't a rebellion. It was a reset, one that could redefine how the world values power, currency, and even sovereignty. So today, we're diving headfirst into 10 explosive facts about the day Africa took back its wealth. This is not your average economic story. It's geopolitics dipped in molten gold. Buckle up, because by the end, you'll never look at that shiny metal or global power the same way again. Let's dig in.
Donald Trump always loved gold. It's practically his aesthetic. But behind the headlines and campaign bluster, there was a strategic play, a rumored push for gold-for-debt deals with resource-rich African nations, particularly Burkina Faso. Essentially, the pitch was simple. Give the U.S. access to your gold at preferential prices, and in return, you'll get investment, democracy training, and a nice shiny seat at the Western-friendly table. But there was a catch the size of Texas. Those preferential prices were way below market value. It was like offering someone $100 for their car and demanding a thank you speech afterward. That proposal, leaked through diplomatic memos and whistleblower chatter, was the last straw. Burkina Faso had heard this song before, the IMF verses, the World Bank chorus, the Western help that always came with invisible chains. And this time, under Traoré, they didn't just hum along. They pulled the plug on the entire sound system. But hold that thought. Because if Trump thought gold would buy obedience, he clearly never met the man behind the no. Enter Ibrahim Traoré, the 36-year-old firebrand who rose from army captain to president faster than most politicians can schedule a press conference. While world leaders were busy making speeches, Traoré was digging trenches, literally and figuratively. He didn't climb into power to become a Western puppet. He came to cut the strings. When the gold for vote deal hit his desk, Traoré didn't hesitate. He looked at the terms, democracy support in exchange for cheap gold exports, and said, "You can't rent our freedom by the ounce." The fallout was instant. Western media branded him a dictator, sanctions began whispering through diplomatic back channels, and mining companies froze their contracts faster than ice in Alaska. But Traoré's defiance wasn't reckless, it was strategic. He saw that the real battle wasn't fought with bullets, but with valuation. Whoever controls the price of gold controls the story of wealth itself. And speaking of control, let's see how far he went when no wasn't enough.
Traoré didn't stop at refusing the deal. He flipped the entire mining script, and that's where the world started sweating. Burkina Faso's government nationalized foreign gold assets, kicking off what economists now call the sovereignty surge. 5 major mines, once owned by international corporations, suddenly became state property. Foreign shareholders screamed expropriation. Traoré calmly replied, "We're not stealing what's ours, we're reclaiming it." He established the State Precious Metals Company, SOPAMIB, designed to ensure every gram of gold benefits the nation, not the offshore accounts of faceless conglomerates. By early 2025, Burkina had collected over 11 metric tons of gold under direct state supervision. For the first time in decades, the gold stayed home. The people finally saw where their wealth went. And spoiler alert, it wasn't to Wall Street. But when you flip the chessboard, the other side doesn't just watch. They retaliate. And that's where Fact 4 hits like a thunderclap. The second Traoré nationalized gold, global elites acted like someone had just unplugged their Wi-Fi. Suddenly, the IMF was concerned about market stability. Mining companies reevaluated partnerships. And Washington? They quietly started looking for ways to discipline the new gold rebels. A leaked memo even revealed a chilling strategy: reframe resistance as authoritarian isolationism. Translation: if Africa says no, call them dictators. The smear campaign went global. News headlines labeled Traoré a strongman, Western think tanks called for democratic pressure, and aid programs got mysteriously delayed. But Traoré didn't fold. Instead, he hosted a regional summit in Bamako with Mali, Niger, and Guinea, forming the Bamako Declaration, a united front against resource manipulation. Still, words are one thing, money is another. And when you talk money, you talk numbers.
Let's crunch some numbers, shall we? Before Traoré's reforms, Burkina Faso was exporting raw gold worth billions while earning pennies in royalties. Foreign companies took 90% of the pie. The nation got crumbs. Fast forward to post-nationalization, Burkina's new gold refinery can process 400 kilograms per day. That's nearly $30 million worth of gold flowing through their hands, not someone else's. Government revenue skyrocketed, jobs multiplied, and most shocking of all, the local economy didn't collapse, it adapted. Rural cooperatives began trading with gold-backed local currencies, bypassing Western financial systems entirely. For the first time, the people of Burkina Faso didn't just own the gold, they owned its meaning. But this wasn't just an economic shift, it was contagious, spreading faster than a stock market rumor. When one nation breaks the mold, others start reaching for the hammer. Mali, Niger, Guinea, and Chad quickly echoed Traoré's stance. They began drafting similar legislation to control their resources, sparking what analysts now call the new African gold standard. In Niamey, the creation of the AJAX African Gold Exchange became the talk of the continent, a trading platform to set Africa's own gold price, free from London or New York. Think of it as Africa saying, "We'll take care of our own stock exchange, thanks." For centuries, gold prices were dictated by the West, the same markets that undervalued African exports while overpricing their aid. Now, the continent was setting its own benchmark. The world's financial elite started sweating because suddenly, Africa's narrative had currency, literally. But don't cheer just yet, because for every revolution, there's a reckoning.
Here's where it gets tricky. Bold moves make bold enemies. And Traoré's defiance put a target on his back. Foreign investors began pulling out, international banks tightened their purse strings, and global media predicted economic collapse. Western firms accused the AJAX exchange of transparency issues, while suspicious cyber attacks started hitting African financial systems. Sound familiar? It's the same playbook used on anyone who challenges global capital. Destabilize, discredit, delegitimize. And yet, even amid the chaos, local innovation thrived. Communities launched gold-tracking blockchains, citizens traded gold grams digitally, and artists painted murals reading, "They print dollars, we bleed gold." Sure, the risks were real, but so was the message. Africa wasn't asking for permission anymore. And speaking of permission, what happens when the man who loves gold the most decides to respond? Donald Trump couldn't resist. At a 2025 Texas rally, he thundered, "We send money to Africa for elections, and now their gold isn't even priced here anymore. Weak leadership." His base erupted in applause. But behind the bravado was panic. Because Traoré's independence didn't just hurt egos, it hit American markets. With African gold slipping from Western pricing control, the London bullion market saw volatility spikes not seen in decades. To Wall Street, this was heresy. To Africa, it was harmony. Trump framed it as betrayal. Traoré framed it as balance. And while Trump rallied his crowd, Traoré rallied a continent. One side shouted, "Make America great again." The other whispered, "Make Africa its own." But this story isn't just about confrontation. It's about creation.
Burkina Faso's next move was pure brilliance. They didn't just nationalize gold, they digitized trust. Through a blockchain project called Project Echo, every single gram of gold traded on AJAX could be traced, from mine to vault. Transparent, immutable, unstoppable. For centuries, the world's gold was defined by opacity. Vaults in London, secrecy in Zurich, manipulation everywhere else. Traoré flipped that on its head. He said, if they can't lie about our gold, they can't own our story. Suddenly, African gold wasn't just valuable, it was verifiable. That transparency built something more powerful than wealth, credibility. And credibility, once earned, can't be bought, not even with all the gold in Trump Tower. On the anniversary of AJAX's founding, Traoré stood before the African Union. No teleprompters, no fanfare, just one message. They mined our land, our minds, and our memory. But today, we remember. We are the value. The crowd erupted. Presidents, peasants, students, everyone in between. For the first time, Africa wasn't being told its worth. It was defining it. And as the sun rose over Ouagadougou, children held up signs that said, if we define it, they can't steal it. That's the day Africa didn't just take back its gold. It took back its voice. And there you have it, the golden showdown no one saw coming. Trump tried to corner a continent's wealth. Traoré flipped the table and built a new one. From corruption to courage, from markets to meaning, this wasn't a coup in the classic sense. It was a currency coup. Now the question is, does this spark a new global order where value is local, fair, and sovereign? Or will the old powers strike back harder? You tell me. Drop your thoughts below. Is Africa on the verge of a new golden age or just painting the same chains in brighter color? Hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon because Global Pulse News doesn't just tell you what's happening, we tell you why it matters. Until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and remember, value fights back.